Georgina Cleos. Where have you been hiding?
It's Georgina Ryland.
Hi, Gabriel Hirsch.
I know who you are.
I think we make a good team.
Riviera is the title character, and it will always be a big part of the show. What happens in the south of France now, like, extends all the way to other parts of the world. And I think that also makes it tonally a little bit different, because it's not so much about the Greek tragedy of the Cleos family anymore. It's more a conspiracy thriller. And as Georgina, one of the things I love about her as a character, she runs straight towards danger. She doesn't run away from it. And so she's kind of hell-bent on taking down these big figures, like a bit of David and Goliath. She says, I'm sick of wealthy people getting away with doing whatever they want and thinking they can get away with it just because they have money. So she's, targeting a politician who is buying elections in Buenos Aires. She's targeting a tech billionaire. I mean, it's a mystery up until a certain point. So I don't want to give away too much.
Shouldn't you be in school?
It's night.
She could be in the movie. She could.
No.
Everybody needs a hobby.
I learned a lot from making that movie too. And like one very specific lesson that I got from it was to kind of let go of these ideas that you have about what you're going to do in a film. So I had, and like surrender to the director a little bit more. So I had this idea, because I was playing a waitress, that I was going to chew gum in the diner. And then when I saw the film, they must have been so horrified when they watched in the edit, because every single time I snapped my gum, they had cut it out. They had cut around that. Yeah. So it's just like these ideas that you have about, like, I'm gonna do this for the character, or you really need to have the director down for that. I think David Mamet doesn't like a lot of flourish, so he cut all that out.
Men come and go.
Yeah, they come and go. My husband was dragged out of the house for being a political dissident, and I never saw him again. They come and go. Come and go, yeah.
I remember that I was in college, and so I was living at my dorm, and they got me a hotel room for the week so that I wouldn't have to be living the dorm life. Yeah, it was extraordinary. And I got all my friends from school to come and see it. And it's a thrill ride. You're just there. You're along for the ride.
What do you people want with me? Why are you trying to frame me?
Please, I'm only here because of Paris. Abbott dragged us
Abbott? Who's Abbott?
Conklin's boss. He shut down Treadstone.
Is he here in Berlin? Did he run Treadstone? Did he run Treadstone?
Yes, Conklin reported to him. Please, I swear.
The opportunity to work with Paul Greengrass was really wonderful. He's also like very much, he's a super kind man. He comes from documentaries, so he expects that, I remember there'd always be, if I was running down a street and you turn a corner, I'd be surprised that there would be a camera there. So he's kind of always telling you not to stop, like don't stop acting, because there might be like a long lens camera around the corner that you're not expecting, that's capturing what you're doing.
No.
Good girl. I appreciate classic horror films from the 70s or whatever, but I don't really watch, especially now. I just can't. I can't. There's enough horror in the world. That's not entertainment to me. But what I look for, and I look for it with The Omen and the movie that I'm working on now, the character, the story. What is this character dealing with? What are they confronting? And I treat it almost like any other genre. So I think at the time, the idea that she was so disconnected from what she thought was her son, and didn't, almost like postpartum depression, didn't feel love, and she didn't feel love reciprocated, was an interesting plight to me. If you had something horrible happen to you, could you just forget about it and move on?
I would want to.
What if you couldn't? It was great. It really introduced me to what it would be like to work on a cable television show. And it was already a very well-established show, so I was just sort of along for the ride. But I really loved what they wrote for me. It was at a time when, just before that, cable was getting really good, but just before that, I sort of had this fear of doing TV because, and it was a misconception, but, the idea was you sign a 5-year contract, and it's a leap of faith, and sometimes the show gets repetitive or it takes a left turn into a story and it's not really what you signed up for. So I was really reluctant to make that sort of commitment. But Dexter was a wonderful experience. And so then, you know, years later when I'm approached about Riviera, I was very keen to do it and thought that actually, which has proven to be true, actually working on a cable television show can be extremely rewarding because you get further into stories and, you know, you have consistency with the people that you're working with, and the quality of cable television is a lot better now.
Of all the rooms that there are iPod ports in, I'm happy you brought us into the bathroom.
I can play music for the baby in any room.
You play Ride the Lightning by Metallica?
Don't really want to get into David O. Russell as a director, but I learned a lot about acting, you know, for better or worse in terms of how he treats people on set. And I'm not condoning that. I learned a lot from him because just his way of, like, he constantly talks throughout a take. He's talking at you while you're acting or trying to act. It's very jarring, but it got me out of my own head. Like, I had no time to censor myself or be really self-conscious because you're just having to, he's barking at you and you have to obey or listen, you know? And so as jarring as it is, it got me to, like, not think so much as an actress, I guess. Or it got me out of my own head and act more, like, viscerally, I want to say.
This is real.
United States Air Force 55. Please stay in your homes and take the proper precautions. Depending on your distance to the blast radius and toxicity levels, first responders.
Tracy, you're a first responder. Shouldn't you go?
I'm not on call today.
Like, this group of guys in LA who I knew through friends, and they had a sort of sketch comedy thing called The Vacationeers. So I had done, like, a couple shorts with them. And then Todd Berger, who wrote and directed It's a Disaster, sent me the script, and I thought it was so funny just on paper that I jumped on board. And then America, and then I think I sent it to, no, America Ferrera signed on, and she sent it to David Cross because she's also friends with Amber Tamlin, and he signed on, and that was it.
How's Mom? How the hell is she?
You should ask her yourself. She's got the same number. We don't really talk that much anymore. I hear from Josh.
Whoa, you're not talking?
It was an experiment, because it was really on the cusp of when streaming was taking off and YouTube started having, like, scripted content. And so, but it was honest. So it was all a big question mark. What is this platform, you know? But for me, Rodrigo is such a talent, and I really loved the first script that he sent me. So I just wanted to work with him.
World had no boundaries, but instinct and common sense, they come in different quantities.
The Cyndi Lauper music video was mind-blowing to me because I am a huge fan. Even at, I don't know how old I was, maybe 15, maybe I was younger. I was younger, it's like 14 or something. I remember because I was playing an older teenager, and they kept needing to, like, I hadn't developed yet, and they needed to, like, stuff my bra. But anyway, she was the sweetest, and I actually ran into her, like, decades later. I don't remember where, but I very shyly and cautiously went up to her, and I was like, and she was like, Julia! She remembered me, which was also a coup.
Do you know anything about hackers? Can you jam with the console cowboys in cyberspace? What? Ever read Neuromancer? Huh? Ever experienced the new wave? Next wave? Dream wave?
To be honest, I'm pretty embarrassed, and I wish that it didn't have a life on the internet. But this is because I was so little and precocious, and it's embarrassing to me. I mean, I'm grateful for all the work that I've been able to do in any job. You know, that was like when I was auditioning, and all you want to do is get work. So certainly grateful, but also extremely embarrassed.
I hate it when you make me laugh. Even worse when you make me cry. I hate it when you're not around and the fact that you didn't call. But mostly I hate the way I don't hate you. Not even close. Not even a little bit. Not even at all.
I remember just loving every day of working on that film because I was so excited to have that part. And it was my first big movie, and the rest of the cast was so wonderful. It was just really, really fun. The writers, Karen McCullough and Kristen Smith, that their genuine voice was really cool and allowed to be, you know, it wasn't watered down. But that was at a time for me when I was a teenager and angst ridden or whatever, and serious, but every time I, and sometimes not serious, I would go to these auditions for commercials or whatever. And they were always like, don't be so serious. Don't be so intellectual. You're heady, and, you know, be more bubbly, be more effervescent. And it was always so jarring to me as I'm trying to figure out who I am. So then to see that represented on screen, like when I read the Kat as a character, I was like, finally, this is a character that I relate to. And I loved it. And so then also to have people enjoy the film is an affirmation that I wasn't too, you know, I wasn't too whatever they were calling me.